So today I want to talk about the prophetic builders and dreamers and what I like to call the visionary dreamers and wise builders. So these are the ones with an apostolic and a prophetic expression. And I see them being highlighted and fully released, like the time is here. So if that kind of speaks to you and that language of being a prophetic builder, a dreamer, that combination, maybe you've heard apostolic and prophetic, and you kind of relate to the two being brought together. If you don't relate to those terms, apostolic and prophetic, you probably relate to being a builder and a dreamer. So if that is you, I would just want to talk to you today, and I want to give you some encouragement. If you're listening to this and you know somebody who fits these descriptions, then let them know about this. But I see the apostolic and the prophetic expression together, this combination, those prophetic builders and dreamers being highlighted and fully released in this time. You might be one that you started out building businesses, ministries, systems, organizations, and then you began having night dreams and learning about the prophetic, and God kind of took you in that place. You began dreaming with God, but you still kind of separated the two. So maybe that's you, and you've not fully brought those two things together. You kind of maybe you put things in compartments, categories. I function really well. Maybe you're like me. I function really well with putting things in categories, and I like to have everything like in their compartments, and you stay over here and you're over here. So sometimes it can be hard for me to combine the two. And so if that is you and you've been kind of keeping the two kind of separate, it's time that you bring those together. I really feel and have just, it's something that God's been speaking to me for a while, but I would say I would say this year, like where he's just been like, this has to be like, you start, it's on your mind a lot, and God's just pressing on it. Like the time is now, the time is here. And so that was me. If you were, you started out building businesses, ministries, systems, organizations, and then God started taking you to learn the prophetic, dreams, night dreams, dreaming with him awake and asleep, that was absolutely me. I started out in entrepreneurship, building businesses. So I kind of always related to being a builder. And then he started teaching me how to build ministries inside the church. And I just can build. I'm a builder. And then he, kind of dropped this, started teaching me about the prophetic, and I fell in love with his voice. And he started teaching me how to hear him in my night dreams. And then he started teaching me how to build it and bring it together. So over the last few years, I've just been doing that, just dreaming and building. So I do believe it's a time that those come together. Maybe God's been showing you that for a long time. Maybe you're like me and there's been a time, a while that you've already been doing these things. You've already been dreaming with God. You've already been building with him. You've already been bringing together the apostolic and the prophetic. But I think that God is just really highlighting that language. And, I've been hearing it. I love it, because if that is you, you probably love the language being defined, because it explains what you've been doing. It explains you. It explains your personality. It explains all the reasons why you're like, you have to have a dream. You have to dream. You got to build. And it just brings them all together. And I love it that God is just really defining this language. And I feel like when God really does that, it allows us to, uh, you know, step into these new things. Even if you've been pioneering for a while and doing that, uh, when God when God starts to kind of like make that language known, it's a new way, a new time, and a new way to step into it fully. Like you can come out, you can come out and be known amongst the people that you are a dreamer and a builder. There's such thing as a dreamer and a builder, and there's such thing as God combining the apostolic and the prophetic expressions together. Whether you're an apostle and a prophet, whether you you know identify with that, whether you identify with, well, I'm apostolic and prophetic, or you identify with being a builder and a dreamer. It's time. It's here. It's time to discover more and even grow. Like, just because I've been doing it for a long time, like I feel like it's been 5+ years now, and to me that's a little while. And just because I've been doing it doesn't mean that I there's not space to grow. So we have space throughout our whole life that we can grow. So it's like, God, teach us some more, show us some more, show us even more what's possible with this, bringing these two expressions together and actually own it. Because even though maybe you've been uh you know doing these two things, whether you've been doing them separate or together, I maybe you haven't fully embraced it and fully owned it. And I, over the last few years, I've fully owned it, and I made a decision that I'm not going to apologize for being apostolic and prophetic. I know it because God told me that I am. So I want to say, give you permission to own what he says about you, own the gifts that he's given you, own the expression that he's given you. Because if you don't own it and embrace that, then I don't feel like you can fully step into it. It's like a because I feel what I mean by that is, you might be operating in it and you might be building and dreaming and doing all those things together, but there's something different that happens when you own it. And I want to come alongside you and cheer you on and support you and say, yes, yes, I see you. I champion you. I see that you're apostolic and prophetic, and I accept you for being that. So uh, God sees you. That yes, He has been supporting you. So this is another thing I see, is that there is a different level of support that is going to be taking place. God is when you're dreaming and you're building with God, God has always been your support. He's that foundational support. But I feel like that we're in a time where it's like favor with God and favor with man, but we're coming into this time that God wants to bring the support on earth, like outwardly. So with man, like that support. And you have it with God, but I do feel like with him bringing the language and with him saying this is what's happening, that a different type of support is coming your way. It's a support of people coming around you, connections, where you don't feel like you're just doing it with God. It's not just you and God any longer. It's you and God and others. And that's something that I see God doing. And I do believe that I want to talk. This is probably another conversation, but I'm just going to like drop it here for a moment, and then I'll talk about it another time. But if you are this apostolic, prophetic dreamer, builder, and you've been doing this outside of, what I mean is, you've been doing it in entrepreneurship, you've been doing it in the marketplace, you've been doing it there, I do believe it's on God's heart that there's going to be, I don't know when, but I believe because it's on God's heart, and that you are going to one day there is going to be a a greater and a different type of support from the local church. So because I don't believe God wants to separate the two, I believe it's they're together. This apostolic prophetic expression in the church and building the local church, and that's what I mean. Building the local church is the same thing as this apostolic and prophetic expression building and entrepreneurship in the marketplace over here. They are the same thing. They're just in different locations. And so I do believe that I don't know what it is. I've been asking because it's a tension that I have, felt. And when I feel tension, it's a space for me to ask questions, a space that God's like, hey, why don't you ask me the questions about this? And I've been asking him the questions about it. So that's going to be another live. But as far as with being a prophetic builder and dreamer, I'm specifically speaking to prophetic builders and the dreamers who dream in the night and dream. So you dream when you're asleep and you dream when you're awake with God to build the things that I see you, God sees you, and the time is now. That apostolic and prophetic combination, you can see the future and you can build in the present. So don't own, sometimes it can be said that prophetic people only see the future. And I want to speak to you, the prophetic builder and dreamer, that you see the future and you build in the present. You're building for future, but you build in the present. You're able to see future and present. You're looking for what God is speaking for the future so that you can build it today. You do build for legacy, you build for generations, but you're like, Lord, what are you speaking? Like you want to get ahead of, the things, and you're like, what are you speaking? I want to get ahead of this. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like that's your design. Your design is because you are that you're prophetic builder, dreamer, and what I like to call the visionary dreamers, wise builders. You can't help but see. That's how God designed you. You can't help but want to know, what are you doing in the future, God? What is this future thing that I'm going to build now? You're pulling things like you can build presently, but you can see, oh, this is coming, and you get ahead. You're a trend setter. You get ahead of the trends. You can actually see what is coming. If there's a few of people that I know that are like they get ahead of the trends when it comes to building. And I was going to say their names, but I'm not going to say their names. Anyways, they're like that. They see and they build. They see and they build. They see and they build. And you probably can recognize them because you probably look to see what are they speaking, because you notice that they always get ahead of the trends. And I believe that these visionary dreamers, wise builders that you get ahead of these trends, and you are the one that you see and you build. So I also see that you're just being highlighted, and you're being highlighted in a way because it's something that God's speaking. It doesn't mean that he's not speaking other things to other people and all that, but right now I want you to know that you're supported, that you can come out, that you can actually speak these things, that God is bringing language to you to be able to own it, to be able to step into it. And we see you. God sees you. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. If that is you, if you feel that, would you let me know? Let me know if this is speaking to you. If you are more curious about it, and you're like, well, I don't know, but I'm kind of curious about this. Maybe you're really hearing this for the first time, but I want to invite you to come in to have support. And the way that you can do that is I have a Facebook group for visionary dreamers and wise builders. I'll put the link in the comments. I also have right now, that is starting on August 14th, the Dream Culture Challenge. And it's just going to be another level of support. We're going to talk about the establishing a prophetic culture, a healthy prophetic culture, and a healthy dream culture. We're also going to look at how to dream and build with God with your prophetic words and your prophetic dreams. So we're going to be looking at dreaming and building with God. So not separating the two, but bringing them together. So I hope that this encouraged you. I hope that this blessed you. Share it with a friend. Tag anyone you know who is a prophetic dreamer, builder, whatever they kind of like identify with that. Help me spread the word about this dream culture challenge. I'm excited about it. I think that God is going to, he's always, anytime I teach, he's just faithful. He's faithful to bring our own personal revelation of things, and he's faithful to activate us and just bring clarity, next steps, things like that. And so I am really excited about this dream challenge, and I hope that you will join me and others in it and find a supportive community of other dreamers and builders. So I bless you, and I hope that this finds you well.